Hello, hello, hello. This is going to be my final thoughts on Gundam 00 since I've finished all of the media. I haven't read the mangas and novels yet, but I want to give my, thoughts for all the stuff that, happened with the anime and the movie. So here it is. I'm going to start with some of the bad stuff, and then I want to end on some of the good stuff that I liked. Overall, I'll preface that I really did enjoy the show. I mean, you guys watched it. You should know that. I had a good time. There were definitely some hiccups, throughout it. Let's start with Season 1. Season 1, I think I've already shared this, that I think it was a little slow, more world building. I get that. I wasn't a big fan of let's show intervention after intervention after intervention. That gets a little old, a little tiring. I understand why they did it, and, it was nice and kind of unique to have different ones being played. But, it was definitely I just kind of wish there was more character development in Season 1. We didn't get it till the later half of it, really. Which I understand. It just seemed like it was kind of slow to do that. We didn't have to hide all these secrets. Speaking of, just throughout the entire show, all those weird connections. I mentioned this in Season 2 where it was Wayne Lumet and God, I forget his name, but her brother, was a servant, but they were related. It was kind of just thrown in there, kind of weird, right? So personally, I think that Season 1 could have maybe been a little shorter, and then devote more of that time to Season 2, because I feel like Season 2 could have been longer, in my personal opinion. It felt like it was a little rushed. There was a lot more going on in Season 2, obviously. So story wise, right, it could use some work there. It wasn't horrible. I think the seasons themselves were good. There's a lot of stuff in the movie. Oh, that's right, the deaths. I kind of want to start with, let's talk about the characters, right, themselves. Kind of touched on it, character development could have been better in Season 1 at least. Season 2, phenomenal, right? But the character deaths, that was a big thing for me. They just need to let go. And I mean, I read some of your guys' comment. Apparently, Graham didn't even die in the movie. Which is kind of dumb. Why would you do that? Don't make these big showings, because then it just really retracts from the actual part of it. Also, sorry about that in the movie. I made a comment, but yeah, super heavy copyright stuff, so I had to cut out some stuff. And the way it works on YouTube when you're editing it, they just give you segments that you can do, and I just did that. I went and was reworking the whole thing, but that takes a lot of time, literally a whole day. But that one worked when it cut out a couple of those. It's still I don't, it's not monetized, so it's whatever. I don't make money right now anyways. I'm just kind of throwing all this together, so sorry if this is kind of incohesive. Also, let me know if you guys want me to make a Patreon so you guys can see it. It'll be super cheap. I'll make $1, I don't care about it, but that way you guys can see an uncut version of the reaction. Well, it'll be cut because there's a lot of points in these videos where I'm pausing and doing other stuff, and it takes a little longer than what you see on camera. But, at least it'll be kind of uncensored, and you'll see more of it. So let me know if you guys want to see any of that stuff, and I might do that for the following Gundam stuff as well. This isn't really a complaint, but I never noticed how much of a spoiler there was in the openings. Big stuff, and I was oh, okay, that's just a little tidbit. I don't like when openings do that. Still make it cool, but I don't need to see that there's, it was kind of cool how they did the Gundam Thrones thing. Oh yeah, with that, the Thrones was just it was kind of strange. I enjoyed it, and I liked the change and the dynamic that was being made, but it was also just kind of weird, the way it was introduced, I guess. Or, no, not the way it was introduced, but the way that they were used to develop the plot. It was just more so, I'm trying to think of a way to word this. It was cool that they were introduced, but then they were, killed. Also, Alial Sachez's, character, that was just, what's going on here? Alright? I feel like he could have been utilized better. This was also my other problem, right? And I mentioned this in the show. I still felt like Setsuna had more of a motivation and a better reason to kill him. So like their pairing would have been much more tense, you know, like there's so much more history than having Lyle. That seemed kind of manufactured. That that kind of foil there that they had with Lyle and Aliel Sanchez. So I didn't really enjoy that. It wasn't horrible, but just kind of like a little thing that bothered me. Movie wise, I think it would have been like it was a good length, but yeah, the whole like time skipping thing was a little weird because it would be like, oh yeah, they're not going to be here for 90 days. And yeah, I don't need to be like, oh hey, 3 weeks later, this and that. But it would have been kind of like, I don't know, they needed to do something because it was confusing sometimes. It would be like, oh, they're going to arrive at the Earth's atmosphere in 90 days. Okay, cool, we got 90 days. And then next thing you know, we jump to a shot. They're on Mars. And I'm like, okay, what are we doing to Mars? And then they're fighting Elsa's already. I'm like, what's happening? And then they jump back to Earth. So like, the Elsas got stopped there. And like, I just need to know, like, so is our technology faster to move? I get it, there's a lot more that was explained in like probably the mangas and the novel and stuff like that, but if your main source of media is the anime, right, then you need to explain the things in anime. Yeah, sure, maybe a little bit of lore is it, explained like elsewhere. That's fine. I'm not, dogging on that. I personally am like a whore for lore. When it came to Skyrim, dude, I was reading all the books. I'd watch bunch of YouTube videos. Did you know that Talos is not a real god? You still need to make like the majority of stuff like make sense in your main source of media that people are watching, because not everyone's going to watch, not everyone's reading the books and the novels and the manga. Like, that's just not going to happen. So something I commented on a lot throughout the series was the whole secrecy thing, and the cast, right, like they just didn't, being a secret society, there's like a lot more intricacies into doing that, and I didn't see that being displayed at all. I'm sure just the writers weren't like super well aware of all this stuff. And yeah, I know there was like, you can argue both sides, but I mean, there's a lot of nuance and a lot of ways to get around stuff. I mean, even if there's no one thing that could like block everything out, right? That was kind of my biggest problem. Yes, they have the propaganda, and especially in season 2 when Ribbons took control of Veda, right? But that was like bothering me because I was like, that's just not a thing. Like I get it. Like they could have stopped something, but they can't block it from the whole world. Like maybe one country, and I get Veda's in everything, right? But that's not like, again, like Veda's not literally in everything. It's just everything technology wise, and stopping information and whatnot. But like, that's the problem that we have today, is that technology is actually worse sometimes now than physical couriers. Like, that's just like, I mean, literally they could have solved that problem, and I didn't like that a lot of those problems weren't really addressed. They just kind of went with it. I did see the criticism that people liked, I mean, season 1 was unique, and then season 2 was like, they were like, oh, we're trying to make it like Under Ones. I was like, I think season 2 was still unique. The whole point of it was showing how our world was, if it became like a Gundam timeline or universe. And I still think season 2 was unique. Again, right, I haven't seen a lot of the Gundams. I watched that whole timeline thing, so I know about all the other timelines. And, there's a lot of the same tropes in this, which I didn't mind. Yeah, and then the movie, Aliens, I was like, I think that's actually a really cool, unique idea. I think that aliens just aren't in other Gundam series, are there? But, I mean, they were hinting at that the whole time. Like, that was the whole point of Ayla Schoenberg, so I'm pretty sure that idea was in the first season, so I don't understand why people didn't like that. I thought that was really unique, and the type of aliens that were used was good. Like, I really enjoyed that. So I guess going into some positives now, right? Like, those aliens that were used in the movie, that was awesome. I mean, the Elsas, the idea of them, I really enjoyed that it was not some biological creature like in a lot of other media, and whatnot, like in Warhammer or in Halo or whatever else, other sci-fi fantasy novels and media that you can think of. Those types of things would be harder for us to adjust to and communicate, right? Another biological creature, we could kind of understand it a little bit, but something that's like just completely not like us, like an organic being, would be so hard to, one, defend against or fight against, and also, just communicate with. So I really like that they explored that in the movie. That was awesome. I like season 1. The idea behind it kind of hooked me in with the whole what celestial being was. The mystery that was going on was really cool. I enjoyed that a lot. The characters, again, right, like, some of it was like, in season 1 was in there, but towards the end, like, I don't know what it is, but the writers were like, kind of like, oh, what do we do here in the middle, kind of doing it, but at the end, they really, like, got it down. Like, that was one thing, right? I wish we explored more of the crew. And the ending was amazing. Lock-On's whole death scene was amazing. That was phenomenal. That was beautifully made. Music was really good throughout. Not, like, amazing. Like, it didn't make me, there were certain scenes that they, like, really got it out there. Overall, I'd have to listen to the scores individually and kind of compare. Nothing really stood out, so I can't say it was like amazing, right? Except for those certain scenes, but I think they made it like really impactful, so that was really good. The death scenes were amazing, except that some of them did not die. I don't understand why, we have Lock-On, and then he has this big moment where he's like, he achieved something, but then actually he never achieved anything because Alial Sanchez was still alive. Although I get that now because of his right eye, and he was, right eye dominant, so his aim was really off. However, I want to know, if this is such a advanced, if our world is so advanced that we have Gundams and whatnot, why does it not have, like, auto aim? Why are we still relying on the human eye? Because human error is, like, one of our biggest things. So those were some positives season 1. Season 2, I know we're jumping back, and I just kind of remember that, like, they really butchered some characters in season 2. One, Graham Acker, I don't need to talk about that, what they did with him. But also Andre. I was really mad that Andre never got any, like, retribution at all for anything. Like, I don't understand how, like, I get it, like, maybe he was swept under the rug, that, but his father literally did nothing wrong. Like, he didn't do anything wrong. They were in a crisis situation where, like, that he wasn't wrong. He never actually sided with the rebels, like, or the coup. That just didn't happen. He was like, oh, I just need to escape and, get out of here. And it's like, hey, come on, like, let's get out of here. Again, maybe the A-Laws didn't agree with that. I did like the introduction of the A-Laws, though. Yeah, I don't know why Andre never faced anything, like, and that whole thing could have been dealt better. Like, I didn't mind that he killed his father. That was like, whoa. But they didn't do anything with that. Like, there was so much more that could have been, done, and develop his character, get into his mental psyche, have him become more of an antagonist, or maybe go through, he needs a bigger, like, kind of arc to redeem himself, which kind of did in the movie, but not really. Like, he was just like, I'm just going to be like my father and my mother, I'm like, okay, but when did you come to that realization? Like, I want to know why you decided that your father wasn't such a bad person, because this whole time you've been saying that he's a bad person. So I don't know when that switch happened and why it happened, right? So, like, that writing on his character wasn't great. The other characters, though, were so much better, right? Luis, again, you already know how I feel. That was amazing. That was so good, so well done, beautifully executed. I like that she was slowly going crazy, and, and then, we have some, she gets, like, comforted at the end. But, again, that was, like, one problem I had, was why did she suddenly, like, be okay, Was it really just Ribbons controlling her the whole time? But, that's not entirely the case. Like, he wasn't having full control of her. He was just kind of messing with her emotions and some decisions she was making. I feel like deep down, like, in her heart, yeah, she was pissed off at Celestial Being. But, I don't know. I needed to see the explanation on why she needed, or why she felt like, hey, I was in the wrong. Like, I get it now. Like, war, and revenge isn't, like, always ideal. She did kill Nana, but she never really, I don't know if it didn't show that it was ever explained to her specifically on what Celestial Being's situation was with Trinity and all that stuff, and that they were actually, like, a different being or a different group. So that was kind of, a little strange. It never really got addressed in the movie. We just kind of wrote off Luis as like, oh, PTSD character. And I'm like, that kind of sucks because I thought Luis's character was really cool when she was fighting and stuff like that. And I kind of wish she was more involved, but I understand why they did that. I wanted to see more out of Luis and Saji in the movie because we took so much time to develop them. In the first season, yeah, I didn't like them. But then they made me care about them in the second season. I was like, oh, okay. Saji's character, I think, was definitely way too whiny, though, sometimes. Like, too annoying, at a point. Season 1, Luis was definitely annoying, but more just like, for me anyways, it was just like, okay, whatever. Like, annoying character, you're a little brat, gotcha. But then Season 2, she just, like, flipped and changed, so it was very different. And that emotional scene after her family died in the hospital with Saji was good. I like that. Season 2... I don't know. I mean, again, like the ending was pretty good. I wish they had done a little bit more at the end there, right? It felt like through the whole thing it was a little rushed. Like a news thing was kind of weird. I already talked about that. Like I didn't understand why they did that whole thing with the new. Felt like it could have been a couple episodes instead of just one. It was really strange. But also there's those dumb villain character moments where it's like Ribbons could have literally just killed them all and ended it, but he never did. So there's like a lot of like those kind of like little, not plot holes, but like, there's just the moments where it's like, why did you do that? So you guys know how I feel about Ribbons' character. The motivations weren't like very deep, and I get that. Like sometimes it's just, like he was just power hungry and he felt like he was superior, kind of basically racist. He was just like, yo, I'm a better version of humans, like fuck all humans. I'm like, oh, okay. Which I know that gets explored in a thing where you guys were talking about, like there's an innovator war in between when the end of the movie and when Sentinel returns, which I thought that was like, I mean, they kind of hinted at that in the movie, so that would be really cool. I definitely want to check that out and see what happens there and learn about that war because, I mean, yeah, we have a superior being, and obviously there's going to be more people that feel like Ribbons because that's just how we are, we try to poke at each other's differences instead of finding commonalities between each other, but oh well, humans. Some other things I really liked, the fighting was really good. I love some of the Gundam battles. I really love the passion that they put into him. Some scenes were like way longer than I think they should have been. I can't point out specifics, but others were like really good, especially like those final battles and stuff like that. That was pretty crazy. I liked that. With Celestial Being itself, I just had a lot of issues, I guess, like with their whole organization. Wasn't really explored, and it just, again, I commented on before that, like, why would you have a team that's supposed to work so closely together, but then, like, them not be very close? It was weird. And, like, the whole secrecy thing, that doesn't matter. Like, if you're all in the same organization, you don't keep secrets from each other in the organization. That's how friction happens, and that's when things go wrong. That's happened in our world where, people aren't communicating with each other, and then we have big problems. I wish they would have explained, like, just gave a direct thing of what Aola Schoenberg's plan and his motivations and stuff were. I think it would actually be cool to explore, like, have like a prequel thing of when Aola Schoenberg was first creating Celestial Being and all these ideas, and maybe just like a mini, like, series or whatever. I think that'd be kind of interesting to just have like a little prequel of like Aola Schoenberg building all this stuff, creating the first Gundam or GN Drive or whatever, to bring us to the events that happened in the show. I would say that the second season was my favorite, personally. First season was good. There's just a lot more. I'm big, more character development happened in season 2, which I really love. The plot was thickening. It was getting crazier. Fight scenes were a lot better. The movie was really good. I just, again, like, I felt like there was a lot of, like, just, it was kind of like thrown together. The movie, it wasn't bad. It was just, there were a lot of things I feel like we could have explored more. I think I mentioned it in my reaction to it, but I feel like it might have been better as a series, right? I mean, anything would have, right? Just to explore more. But that whole scene where Mari and Alleluia are exploring like that facility that was down, that horror element, I gotta say that was well done. That was so good in the movie. I loved the horror element. Oh, that was so good. I loved it. That was like something I was like, kind of missing from that. Well, I think that in any sci-fi, like having a little bit of horror is kind of unique and interesting, right? Like, not everyone's like for horror. I get that, but just having that element there was really cool. It's like, ooh, what is this? Like, what is this thing? It's like, oh, okay. The mystery and stuff was what made Celestial Being so interesting. They didn't have the horror element, but then having, like you have the mystery, now we know who Celestial Being is. Oh, now new mystery, but then this is like kind of a scary thing because it's like these vehicles are just being automated and starting killing people for whatever reason. I would like more Gundam 00 though, honestly. I really enjoyed this series. I don't know what else more to say. I'm just kind of been rambling this whole time, so hopefully it made sense, some of these things, and maybe I brought in some new stuff about, instead of just repeating some of the old things, but I thought I'd bring this all together so you guys can kind of understand what I thought about the series. Overall, I think there was a lot more good than bad, right? Just a lot of little nitpicky things. I don't know what I would rate it. I have no idea. I'm pretty harsh with ratings because, like, as a show itself, right, like, in my heart, it's up there because this is a very special series to me. It's the one that kind of got me into Gundam, right? I mean, I've only seen OG Gundam, and that was like, it's okay. Like, it's older, didn't age well, too long in my opinion. Just, like, it was kind of I kind of, like, struggled sitting through it. So I didn't really enjoy that one. But this one, I very much enjoyed. I'm a big fan of Mecha. I just never got into Gundam, and this was great. I actually really liked it, and I mean, this just got a little special place in my heart now. So thank you guys for getting me into the series. I did like it. I don't know what I would rate it. Well, those are my thoughts on it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, smash subscribe. Hit that notification bell as well so you can get notified on when other videos of Gundam in general gets uploaded because we're reacting to Gundam Seed next. So look forward to those coming up. Hope it'll be a weekly upload. And we're going to do Gundam Seed, then we'll do Destiny. And I think the movie's coming out or recently, so we're going to watch that as well. So that'll be very exciting. I'm going to try to do 2 episodes at once per week. We'll see how it goes. Those are a lot harder to do just time-wise, right, if I try to do weekly. But I'll try to push it out. And don't worry, we're not completely done with Gundam 00, alright? I still want to read the mangas, maybe do a reaction to those. I got another tier list I'm going to do. And also, I'll do a kind of lyrical analysis of what's being said in, I think, all the openings and endings. I definitely want to do ending 4 for sure, but I think maybe we'll do them all just so I can see what the lyrics are for them. Well, that's all I got for you. I hope to see you in the next one.